Dear students, today we are going to discuss lesson 10 of our literature text, The Life of Gautama Buddha. This is based on a short story written by H.G. Wells. Name of the story is From a Short History of the World. So now let us go back many centuries to learn of a great teacher who taught the world about a simple middle path to happiness in life. So we know about Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha actually born in a rich family. So after that, he left his money, that kingship, everything, and moved like a sannyasi or rishi, isn't it? So this was Gautama Buddha who taught his disciples at Benares in India in the 6th century BC. The 6th century BC was indeed one of the most remarkable in all history. Everywhere people's minds were thinking about new things. So it's like the time of Renaissance. Everywhere they were waking up out of the traditions of kingships and asking the most penetrating questions even to the kings. So penetrating question means like equality here. So not like king and servant. So even to the kings, this type of questions, normal questions, renaissance came. Siddhartha Gautama was the son of an aristocratic family which ruled a kingdom on the Himalayan slopes. He was married to Yashodhara. So here aristocratic family means it's like a kingship. He also belonged to a rich family like a king family. He lived peacefully in his palace surrounded by beautiful gardens and fields. Finally, Siddhartha saw an ascetic. Here, ascetic means self disciplined person. Example like Rishi, just not aware regarding uh, the worldly things, only know about religious concept, not like very much posh lived, who looked calm and peaceful. So one day Siddhartha saw an ascetic, like a sannyasi or swami. Since then, the desire to become an ascetic was born in him. That time onwards, he also wanted to become an ascetic. With the time, the desire became stronger. One day, he went out in his chariot. Chariot means we know that the rich people on that time move outside, maybe in horse cart, isn't it? But that horse cart is very much rich. Persons can only move on such as chariot. And so, three things which shook him. First, he saw an old man bent with age. So first he saw an old man bent with age. So olden age of a human being seen by Siddhartha Gautama. Then he saw a sick man and his charioteer explained that everyone could fall sick. So after that travel, he seen again a sick man. So charioteer here means the person who is driving that chariot or that vehicle. So like a driver. He said that everyone will or everyone could fall sick one day. So finally, he saw a dead man and learned that this was indeed what comes at the end of each life. So third thing shook him was a dead man's body. So he understood that after a age, everyone will be like that. So he wanted to go into the mountains and live like an ascetic. At the same time, one day his son was born. There was great joy in the kingdom. So here he is living in mountains now, just avoided every royal and rich or posh living. He avoided that and moved to the mountain for self estimation, self satisfaction for his own mind. He gone to mountain. However, Buddha had made up his mind to leave his life of luxury behind and become an ascetic. He went softly to the threshold of his wife's chamber and saw her by the light of a little oil lamp, sleeping sweetly surrounded by flowers with his infant son in her arms. So one day he visited his own palace without informing his wife and son, without disturbing them with a little oil lamp. He seen their face. At last he turned away and went out into the bright moonshine and mounted his horse and rode off into the world. So he started moving back to that mountain. So that time he used all the ornaments, golds, and sword also was with him. So very far he rode that night and dismounted beside a sandy river. So near to the riverside, he stopped. There he cut off his flowing locks, flowing locks with his sword, removed all the ornaments and sent them and his horse and sword back to his house. So from there, he removed every richness and sent this horse back to the palace, including ornaments also he sent back to his own house. He met a man in ragged clothes and exchanged clothes with him. So ragged clothes means very much poor, isn't it? Not in a proper dress, very much poor, untidy. So he exchanged his dress with that person, and so having divested himself of all worldly entanglements, he was free to pursue his search for wisdom. So he wanted to avoid all the worldly or beautiful things in the life. So we are believing that ornaments, this makeup, this posh dresses are the best thing for us, isn't it? So he avoided all these worldly entanglements. So this entanglements actually we have confusion. So we are not having a proper destination actually. If we got one mobile, we need more than one or two mobile, isn't it? So new and latest updation, all the things what we are using, what we needed actually. So he avoided all such feelings and immersed in his own world. It's about thinking, high thinking. He made his way southward to a place where hermits and teachers gathered in a hilly spur of the Vindhya mountains. So near to the mountain, every time in the southward place, some hermit and teachers are gathering there. So like a sage and teachers are staying there. There lived a number of wise men in a warren of caves and imparting their knowledge by word of mouth. So he is getting knowledge from their mouth. Imparting means getting. So transferring knowledge to someone through the mouth only, not from the books. Gautama became versed in all the great philosophies of his age, but his acute intelligence was dissatisfied with the solutions offered to him. He took 5 disciples, companions, to the jungle, and there he gave himself up fasting and penances. He fame His fame spread like the sound of a great bell hung in the canopy of the skies. But it brought him no sense of truth achieved. One day he was walking up and down, trying to think in spite of his weak stake. Suddenly he fell unconscious. When he recovered, he realized fasting and starving himself will not help him gain wisdom. So now Gautama Buddha has 5 disciples. He don't want to eat anything. He only want to gather knowledge. And he said, and he understood that when he felt fasting and starving, he himself will not help him gain wisdom. He understood that human being need food also little for surviving. So he decided to eat normal food and look for another path to find the truth. He had realized that whatever truth a man may reach is reached best by a nourished brain in healthy body. So for a healthy body only we will get good knowledge. So for such good knowledge we want to maintain our health. So when the mind grapples with a great and complex problems, it makes its advances step by step with but little realization of the gains it has made until suddenly, with an effect of abrupt illumination, it realizes its victory. So it happened to Gautama. He had seated himself under a great tree by the side of a river when this sense of clear vision came to him. It seemed to him that he saw life plain. He is said to have sat all the day and all night in profound thought, and then he rose up to impart his vision to the world. The starting point of this teaching was his own question as a fortune young man. Why I am why am I not completely happy? It was an introspective question. So about a rich man said that why I am or why am I not completely happy? All suffering is due to the greedy desires of the individual. As long as human beings crave, crave things, they will know sorrow and will not be completely happy. There are three principal forms that the carvings for life took, and they all caused sorrow. The first is the desire of the appetites and greed. The second is the desire for immortality, and the third is the carving for personal success, worldliness, and avarice. So he understood that because of these three things, all the problems happened in the human being's life, which are the desire of the appetites and greed. The second is the desire for immortality, want to live lifelong. And the third is the carvings for the personal success, while worldliness and avarice. All these forms of desire had to be overcome to escape from the distress of life. When they were overcome, then serenity of soul, Nirvana, the highest good was attained. So if we are avoiding all these worldly feelings or selfish feeling, we will get serenity of soul. Our soul will be pure as nirvana. Such stage is called nirvana. The highest good was attained. Gautama's disciples declared that he was a Buddha, that is an enlightened being. He preached an eightfold path, that is, eight things one could follow to lead the right life. They are the right viewpoint, the right values, the right speech, the right actions, the right livelihood or way of earning, the right effort, the right mindfulness or mental ability to see and understand things, and the right concentration or state of meditation and enlightenment. These are the nine things. It's very important for our life. So these nine serenity for attaining nirvana, the stage of the life, these nine principles he followed. His disciples also followed that. Actually, this story tells us that from the life of Buddha, we should be aware regarding our life is not for challenging someone, for the self needy things we have to avoid. For our personal achievement, for our personal success, don't create any issue for others. Don't be a greedy person. So these are the principles he given to his followers.